Here's a shot of Tower Bridge in the year 1920 and it's operating. Here's a cool shot. It's the Beatles meeting Muhammad Ali way back in 1964. Here's a photo from Berlin, way back in 1931. It shows a young boy working hard selling lemonade. He's got a portable lemonade dispenser set up. Looks like a hot day. And signing off back in 1934. Here's a peek at bloodletting, a practice called venesection from the 1860s. Here's a photo from Paris in 1972. It shows a woman demonstrating a really futuristic typewriter chair. It's even got headphones and a light. Here's a photo from East London taken around 1890. It shows children who appear to be living in poverty. Here's the shot. It's the airship Le Jaune soaring right past the Eiffel Tower. This was taken in Paris, France, all the way back in 1903. Pretty amazing, right? Alright, check this out. This is Bran Castle, also known as Dracula's Castle, and the photo was taken way back in the 1920s in Romania. Pretty cool, huh? This is young Master Stevenson from possibly Castlane, in Carrick-on-Suir, County Tipperary. This photo was taken on January 8th, 1907. Here's a charming family portrait from the 1950s. It's a ventriloquist's family. You can just feel the fun. Back in the old days, when a woman couldn't produce mother's milk, goat's milk was the next best thing. This photo's from 1927. Here's a picture of Arnold Schwarzenegger in New York way back in 1968. It was his first time there. Alright, here's what we've got. Check out this incredible photo of French soldiers marching by a dog. And get this, the dog's wearing goggles and smoking a pipe. This was all the way back in 1915. Amazing, right? This photo shows the creation of the recycling logo. It was designed by Gary Anderson back in 1970. He was just 23 years old at the time. Here's a photo of a small family standing in front of their home. Here's a photo of a Swedish bride taken around 1880. Sound of gentle morning wake-up music. Time to wake up! Here's a photo of Benito Mussolini, taken in 1942. Check out this neat old photo of a milk vending machine. It's from London, England, around 1931. Pretty cool, right? He's probably a good boy, but sure looks odd, doesn't he? Here's an unusual canvas. Here's a photo of Fritz the Bulldog, a real TV celebrity, and here he is getting groomed by a barber back in 1961. Here's a shot of Marble Arch Tube Station way back in 1900. Here's a photo from the University of Michigan taken way back in 1950. It shows some students, probably enjoying campus life. This photo shows a real slice of life, taken back in 1969 at the Greyhound bus terminal in Los Angeles. You can see those old ashtrays everywhere, and check out those coin-operated televisions. Imagine needing to feed in quarters to watch a show while you waited for your bus. Alright, check out this blast from the past. It's a photo from 1974 of someone pumping gas. Can you believe it was only 48 cents a gallon back then? Crazy! Here's a photo of Freddie Mercury when he was just 12 years old. This was at St. Peter's Boys' School in Panchgani, India, back in 1958. Here's a photo of a one-man band in London, back in the early 1950s. Here's a cool old photo. It's from 1912 and shows a woman plugging in her electric car. Pretty neat, huh? Isn't it interesting how some of the best friends we ever have are the ones we meet in our very early years? Like this photo from Paris, 1952. A tramp chair. This thing was used way back in 1899 to lock up beggars, sometimes for as long as 10 hours at a stretch. Imagine that. Here's a photo from 1966. It shows a blind woman relaxing at the local swimming pool. She's being watched over by her guide dog. Here's the view from the B-29 bomber, the Enola Gay, just after it dropped the first wartime atomic bomb on Hiroshima, Japan. This was back in 1945. Alright, here's a glimpse inside Big Ben, or rather the Elizabeth Tower in London. This photo was taken way back in the 1920s. Happy New Year! This photo was taken on New Year's Eve in 1960. Here's the picture. Looks like a stork, you know, one of those long-legged birds walking around wearing toddler shoes. That's pretty funny. Check out these ticket machines. This photo was taken way back in 1928. A couple of young guys are reading a copy of Playboy. This striking photo shows a stoic 10-year-old Japanese boy. He's standing at attention, having brought his dead younger brother to a cremation pyre in Nagasaki. Here's a photo of George W. Bush and his father, George H.W. Bush, back in 1947. Here's a photo from 1940 showing factory workers in London, England. They were busy producing spectacles, eyeglasses, that were designed to fit comfortably with gas masks. Check this out. This photo shows school children back in 1932 practicing how to gargle. It was all part of a hygiene lesson, The goal was to help everyone stay healthy. Here's a photo of a navigation hotline in the Netherlands way back in 1963. Imagine, long before Google Maps existed. Here's a photo from the 1920s. It shows a patient from an asylum and he's holding his doll. Alright, here's a cool one. This photo shows Winston Churchill, the famous Prime Minister, taking a dip in the water. Looks like he's enjoying a refreshing swim. This is the eye behind the lens. Here's a shot of an Italian harpist back in the 1870s entertaining a group of kids right on the street. Here's a photo of 3 boys trudging along. It looks like it was taken around 1910. Here's a neat piece of history. This photo shows a V-shaped bed, and it was actually invented way back in 1932. The idea was that it would support your body perfectly at every single point, helping you get some seriously better rest. Check this out, charging an electric car. This was taken way back in the garage in New York way back in 1911. Crazy to think, right? Here's a sweet photo of John F. Kennedy having a tea party with his daughter Carolyn. Here's a photo from Marilyn Monroe's first wedding. She was just 16 years old back in 1942. Here's a picture of the nanny from 1854. Here's a photo of a journalist back in 1936 running across a bridge. He's trying to rescue a baby during the Civil War. Here's a happy clown from the early 1900s. This is pretty amazing. It's 4.5 megabytes of data, but it's all packed onto these 62,500 folded maps. This was back in 1955. Can you believe it? Here's Harriet Beecher Stowe around 1852. Here's a shot of the Esso Hibernia tanker under construction. It was taken back in 1970 in Wallsend, England. Here's a shot from way back in the day, 1955. It's a bustling music store in London. You can see a bunch of customers browsing around, probably looking for their next favourite record. Pretty cool, huh? Here's a shot of some ducks hanging out at Buckingham Palace back in the 1960s. Here's a lovely portrait. This is Princess Marie of Edinburgh, who would later become Queen of Romania. The photo was taken sometime around the 1890s. Here's a fun photo. This is a collection of newspaper faces, which was a super common pose back in the 1900s. Here's a peek inside the control room of Saturday Night Live from the 1970s. That's NBC's control room, looking pretty intense, wouldn't you say? Here's a chilling piece of history for you. This incredibly macabre hat belonged to a travelling dentist back in London, way back in the early 19th century. Alright, check this out. It's a Kodak marketing photo from 1912. Here's a shot of Ham the chimp, you know, after his trip to space back in 1961. Here's a great old photo of Albert Einstein and Edwin Hubble. They're standing in front of the Mount Wilson Observatory back in 1931. Here's a picture of Vivian Leigh as Cleopatra. It's from 1945. Hey there, just wanted to say hello. A sad little girl is holding hands with a picture of her sister, whose face has been scratched out. Here's a great shot of Jackie Gleason rehearsing for his television show. You can see him here in a steam cabinet. Looks like he's taking a little break. This was taken in New York back in August of 1952. Check out these cool rain goggles for race drivers. This photo is from the 1930s, a time when racers really had to battle the elements. Here's a shot of a teenager at an Elvis Presley concert. This one was at the Philadelphia Arena in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. It was held on April 6, 1957. Here's a shot of a Keeper of the Faith from 1854. Here's a picture of a boy from around 1880. He has congenital syphilis, which is a form of the disease that's passed from a mother to her child. Check out this unusual portrait of a Victorian lady. Check out these amazing photos of girls on the streets of London. This was back in the late 1950s, a really classic time. This photo, taken around 1933, shows a pretty big pig hanging out at a farm in Hertfordshire, England. Looks like he's having a chat with a census taker. An oasis in Giza. Here we see a young boy, who's unfortunately paraplegic, working on his rehabilitation. He's out for a walk and practicing knocking down coconuts. This photo was taken way back in 1955. Alright, here's a neat old photo. It's an exhibit from the Department of Agriculture, all set up for the World's Poultry Congress back in London. This was way back in 1930. Pretty cool stuff. Here's a behind-the-scenes look at Elizabeth Taylor and Rock Hudson on the set of Giant in 1956. Here's Ernest Hemingway, looking like he's just 18 or 19 years old. This photo was probably taken around 1918. Alright, here we see a scene from New York way back in 1963. A group of detectives are getting rid of a bunch of drugs, tossing them into an incinerator. Okay, so this photo is from 1955 and there's no hot dog in sight. This striking photo shows a woman with a crow taken at the Limelight Cafe in Greenwich Village, New York City. It was taken by Ouija sometime in the 1950s